Kicking off our list here at number 10, we have Mount Weather. Not to be confused with Mount Chiliad, although that one's quite mysterious as well. We'll save that for another video. Mount Weather in Virginia is an emergency operations center. It's the go-to spot in case of any national emergency. These are for the higher ups, you know what I mean? Like in the movie 2012, they would have went here. The facility is around 560 acres, and it's also used as the command center for the Federal Emergency Alert System. So if there were ever a day where the president needed to announce anything massive, this is where he'd go to do so. It's about an hour away from Washington, D.C., and after the 2001 September attacks, the news reported that these high-level leaders of Congress were taken just 75 miles west of Washington. There was a literal traffic jam of government vehicles going that direction. Also, from above, Mount Weather looks like it's hiding military-style support housing. These notches on the side of the hill are peculiar, to say the least. And that's just the beginning of our list here. Number 9, Randolph-Macon Women's College. Yeah, when you think of a doomsday bunker or anything hidden below the surface of the earth, you're thinking airports, right? Something massive, vaults in the middle of the Arctic maybe, some secret Bermuda Triangle, alien base, whatever. Well, look no further than Lynchburg, Virginia, at Randolph College. So around World War II, just like most of these places that I'll mention on this list, a bunker was made to protect people, government officials, and sometimes art. The National Gallery of Art hid paintings in North Carolina, so another privately funded facility at Randolph College was also at the ready. It was this 3-bedroom hideout for the gallery's curator. Can't forget about art on this list, it's also important. Number 8, the Shanghai Complex. Most of the details of this one are still unknown, as are the other ones on this list as well. How fun is that? A mysterious Shanghai complex, let's talk about it. It's this massive underground bunker, as you probably could have guessed, and it's supposedly able to fit 200,000 civilians comfortably. It's over 100 million square feet, and it was built in case, well, a nuclear attack were to happen. This was revealed through a newspaper article back in 2006. Imagine reading about this one morning, I'd be like, hi, what? The Shanghai Morning Post touched on the new complex, saying that it's got massive protective doors, electricity, good lighting, good ventilation, all that good stuff, and it can fully support life for 2 full weeks. And yes, it's very secure. Number 7, Pine Gap. Going to the land down under for this one, here we go. Pine Gap is a secret military compound built around the Cold War, and it's been described as Australia's Area 51. Doesn't mean that there's aliens there, but you never know. All we know of this secret base on this mysterious island was revealed back in 2013 thanks to our man Edward Snowden. Yeah, he revealed quite a bit actually. Turns out this island is not a fun resort. In fact, it's a satellite surveillance base that runs espionage operations. And it's got a lot of underground hidden bunkers. You can't even get close to this thing. The NSA is currently using this facility for global interception, and they also collect internet and telephone communication records. So your voicemail to chat is probably lying in a USB somewhere. Back in the 70s, around 400 American families moved to the nearby Alice Springs. Why? Just for fun, it seems. Just for the waves. Just for surfing the web and the waves. Number 6, the Greenbrier. Located in Sulphur Springs in West Virginia, this US hideout was crucial during, you guessed it, the Cold War. Just 250 miles west of the capital city, the Greenbrier Resort got a fun little expansion as it was being built back in 1958. This expansion to the resort was not another spa, there was no water parks, no splash pool, anything like that. Rather, it was a secret bunker for United States Congress. This bunker was more of an underground city, if anything. When I say bunker, it's like a little where you have to hide in. No, this had a massive cafeteria. This had a dentist's office in case you get a cavity while you're hanging out down there. The crazy thing was, obviously this information was kept under wraps as best as they could, but according to Jared M. Graff, author of Raven Rock, conferences were being held in these public spaces at this resort, but the people walking through there never realized what these actually were. They never realized the bunker's true intentions. It was a doomsday chamber all around them this whole time, and they're having resort meetings. One thing employees did notice was how many urinals were in the building, which is, to be fair, that's kind of funny. That's the first thing I would notice. Number 5, Denver International Airport. Since its opening in 1995, Denver International Airport, DIA, has been the subject of many myths. I've heard about this before, this is hilarious. I think it's in Tony Hawk, probably, I don't know. Some are so bizarre I had to include it on our list today. Yeah, lizard people, apparently they like to build airports. The more you know. So far it's believed that the Freemasons built the airport, or the Illuminati, or the New World Order. The airport itself is massive. It covers around 52 square miles. There's literal gargoyles that are just hanging out near baggage claim. The art displayed there is a little odd, so I get it. It does seem creepy. Maybe you want to know more about it. But the airport has started to lean into this conspiracy. They're actually laughing at this stuff by now. They have a conspiracy month that began back in 2016. How fun. Imagine going to the airport and they're like, oh, it's conspiracy month. I'm like, what? I just want to fly Delta. What's going on? They even show a screening of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So yeah, like I said, they're really leaning into this. I would have leaned into something too if I was hiding a secret bunker and if I was guilty. Just saying. Number 4, Project Iceworm. Oh, here's a fun one. As a Canadian, this project sounds like the worst one on this list. So impossibly cold. It's so cold out today. I'm freezing doing this list. Back in 1960s, under the Greenland ice sheet, the US Army started to build a mobile nuclear missile launch site. The code name was Project Iceworm, which is pretty fitting. Under the ground and ice. You got it, I didn't have to explain it. They were close enough that they could hit targets within the Soviet Union, right? That was the entire point here. This project was called Project Iceworm, but there was another project called Camp Sentry that had to be completed first. You can't just show up with a bunch of shovels and be like, all right, let's attack them. No, you have to make a base first. You gotta make sure it's livable. Camp Sentry was a network of underground tunnels and places for workers to stay. There was a kitchen, a hall, supply rooms, communication center, all that good stuff. There was also a nuclear power plant, so things were getting pretty official. Things were well on their way, to say the least. This was kept from the Danish government for 7 years, but in 1966, the project was cancelled because of shifting ice. Or was it? Number 3, the floating White House. This one's not an underground bunker per se, but it was once a doomsday ship. That counts. Also, it's under the water, so it can technically below Earth level. I don't know. This was back in 1962, before Air Force One. There was a presidential yacht. Or 2. These yachts sound glamorous, but really it's just a floating doomsday bunker. Lincoln had a steamboat during the Civil War that he used, and it was called the River Queen. The USS Mayflower was used by Roosevelt. Then later on, 2 Navy command ships were ready in the 60s. There was a light cruiser and a light aircraft carrier, one of which was always in the water near the president, just floating by, just lurking about. This is when the Soviet Union had a weak navy, so the odds of them finding the president's ship in the Atlantic, well, those odds were slim. That is until, of course, satellite technology became a thing, and then we started looking down from above, and then after that, the floating presidential bunker wasn't hidden, obviously. It's probably the worst place to put a president at this point, actually. Just in the middle of the water. They're like, let's play Battleship, I guess. Number 2, Metro 2. How fitting, 2 and 2, let's do it. An underground metro or an underground city. Over in Moscow, there have been many tales of this underground city, hiding deep beneath Russia's capital. Once World War II ended, these underground shelters were underway, and originally they were designed to protect civilians, but they had to be done in secret, and also you needed roads to connect these bunkers. So we might as well create a second metro. We'll call it that, a second metro. It was labeled as Metro 2. The rumors, of course, are that these hidden tunnels and bunkers are still being used by the KGB. Back in 1994, this exploration group called the Diggers supposedly found the entrance to this underground KGB tunnel city. Living in Toronto, we have one underground subway station that's like kind of abandoned. Pretty sure the KGB isn't hiding there. I haven't checked though in a while, but maybe I'll take a look. I'll get my boys the Diggers and we'll go and take a look. And finally, number 1, the SVALBARD Vault. Over the pandemic, I spent a lot of time playing video games and stuff like that, obviously, keep my mind busy. And most of my favorite games I realized have a similar like doomsday post-apocalyptic feel. Like Fallout 4, I was playing it and I'm like, this feels stressful. It's stressful, but quite engaging. And in real life, we have a global seed vault, and it's deep, deep in the Arctic Circle, on the island Spitsbergen. It's this massive bunker that has since been deemed the Doomsday Vault. How fun. This is where humans will store food crops, and it contains 100 million seeds. So if the Earth all of a sudden gets wiped out, or even if all the ice melts, this vault will be good to go. We won't survive, but we have seeds. All that water just flooded the rest of humanity will now regrow the Earth, ideally, which sounds so horrible, but weirdly cute. I'm kind of concerned. Is there something we don't know about this vault? Is that seed guy from Breath of the Wild hanging out in there with his loud maracas? Or Santa? I mean, Santa's only 800 miles away from this area, so he could be hiding here. You never know.
In our number 10 spot, we have the Bodmin Jail. The Bodmin Jail is located in Cornwall, England. This jail opened in 1779, and in its most active days, King George III would hold more than 150 criminals in there. Quite the overcrowded prison of the time, although people have long held the belief that King George III was mad, so I suppose this decision could be the result of this. Apparently over 100 years, 55 executions took place in Bodmin. A notable execution was a woman named Selina Wadge, whom many have believed that she still haunts the grounds today. Screaming and banging on the walls has been known to be heard at this prison. Now, this prison was closed and abandoned as a prison in 1926, but eventually it was actually turned into a tourist destination, so you can actually visit this prison. But honestly, at your own risk. You may run into the ghost of Selina, and some say she isn't quite as nice as Casper the Friendly Ghost, if you catch my drift. In our number 9 spot, we have the Atlanta Prison Farm. Located in Atlanta, Georgia, this is a prison that was caught on fire in 2009, and the firefighters did not even try to extinguish the flames. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a treasured landmark, that's for sure. The prison is a little different than the others, as it was surrounded by acres of land, and the prisoners would farm their food. This place was known for being overcrowded and having war criminals and people who were either wrongfully imprisoned or imprisoned for minor crimes. After many moons of being shut down and abandoned, eventually this place became a bit of an urban exploration adventure, as people thought it to be haunted, and even ghost hunters would often visit it. But honestly, just looking at the pictures of it, it's just so worn out and it reeks of low vibes that it looks like it would attract ghosts. You are prohibited from visiting this place, so don't even think about it. I am your YouTube mother. Nah, I'm too young. I am your YouTube older sister, and I encourage you to make good choices and not go, okay? In our number 8 spot, we have the Old Salem Jail. The Old Salem Jail is located, of course, in Salem, Massachusetts. Home of the Hocus Pocus witches, of course. And yes, the town is known for, oh, just a little old thing as, you know, the Salem witch trials. Ever heard of it? Well, if you haven't, Google it. It was quite the historical American event. That town attracts, you know, just the creepiest things. And so it wouldn't be surprising to hear about a jail that was known to be haunted. This jail apparently had stories from it that sounded too gory to be true that people didn't even want to tell them. It closed in 1991, and after being abandoned for a few decades, eventually a hotel brand bought it and turned it into luxury apartment flats. But apparently it doesn't matter how beautiful they make it look, the ghosts from the jail are still around there and people can still hear their cries. One of these days I'm gonna have to visit these prisons in the hopes that I'll be able to hear these supernatural cries. Not that I like people crying, but I want to hear a ghost. You know you want to too. In our number 7 spot, we have the HOLMESBURG prison. This prison has to be the worst abandoned prison in the world. I'm serious when I say that the fact that this existed and such inhumane practices were afoot makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest. The prison is located in Pennsylvania, USA, and it was active from 1896 to 1995. The fact that this prison was still open when I was a kid makes me the most uncomfortable. I think our ability to be compassionate has tripled in the last 25 years. Anyways, this is a jail where the prisoners were essentially boiled alive. I'm not joking. The prison was built out of stone and it had large steam radiators, and the wardens would make the temperature go up to 200 degrees, and some of the prisoners would literally die from the heat. To arguably make it worse, the prisoners eventually became testing subjects for biochemical, pharmaceutical, and dermatological weapons. So yeah, it totally makes sense to hear that people believe it to be deeply haunted. I bet. This is one of the darkest prisons by far. In our number 6 spot, we have the Ararat County Jail. In Ararat, Victoria in Australia, there was once a very known jail, the Ararat County Jail, that is now known for its shrieking cries, specifically from an area of the jail called the J Ward. The jail opened in 1861 and was originally intended as a goldfields prison, but in the 1880s it was turned into a maximum security psychiatric facility for the criminally insane. Not only do people say they still hear the shrieking cries believed to be from the prisoners, but also moans and rapid footsteps are often heard. Apparently when they are heard, it's hard to know that they aren't real, as the footsteps sound so real and human-like. Ooh. In our number 5 spot, we have the Wyoming Territorial Prison. This prison was built in 1872 and was made to confine the growing number of criminals in the area. But not all went exactly according to plan. People kept escaping. This is wild to me. I didn't realize that any prison had a genuine problem with this. I thought when people escaped it was like a one-off thing. Anyways, yep, people would escape, and they had a bit of an overcrowding issue as well. A famous name from the prison though is a man named Julius Greenwald, who was sentenced for taking the life of his wife. He apparently had a quote-unquote expert hand when it came to rolling cigars, and boy would he smoke a lot of them. Apparently Julius's cigar scent can still be smelt at the prison in the place where he died in 1901. Passing away in 1901 from heart failure, Julius's ghost still lingers about in the place he died. It is said that you can also smell the cigar scent in the corridors leading to where he died. Interesting. Well, smoke and cigar/cigarette scents do tend to linger, so it makes sense. In our number 4 spot, we have the Carabanchel Prison. The Carabanchel Prison, located in Madrid, Spain, was originally constructed by political prisoners after the Spanish Civil War between 1940 to 1944. It was known as one of the biggest prisons in Europe until it was closed down in 1998. The prisoners were made to do slave labor when it was active, and after it was closed, it became known as an abandoned, haunted building. In 2008, the Spanish government decided that it needed to be destroyed because no one should go onto the grounds. Probs because it was that haunted, but most likely because it was just a sad part of their history that they want to forget. Apparently a hospital and apartments are now in the area, and it hasn't been confirmed if people ever feel any paranormal activity, but we're gonna say probably. In our number 3 spot, we have the William Porter Reformatory. The William Porter Reformatory is located in Tokaji, South Africa. This is a bit of a disturbing prison because it was not exactly for adults. Most of the prisoners were actually quite young, which honestly makes me ill to think about. They were kept in isolation cells, and for what purpose? Oh, just a racially driven one. To further the separation between the black and white working class community, and to teach the prisoners to not interact and to socially know their place. Thankfully, this horrific place was closed down in 1910, but of course the energy and sadness must still surround the building. Seeing the pictures of this place honestly breaks my heart and makes me the most sad. In our number 2 spot, we have the Old Charleston Jail. The Old Charleston Jail is a jail that was built in 1802 in South Carolina, USA. This is an abandoned place that you may actually want to visit if you're someone who's very into supernatural phenomena, as this is a place that is known for its ghostly encounters. Ooh, yeah, I want to go. This jail was actually home to a very notable prisoner, Lavinia Fisher. Lavinia and her husband, John Fisher, were owners of a Charleston inn called the 6 Mile Wayfarer House, and they were sent to prison as apparently they were luring businessmen into their inn and then killing them and stealing their belongings. They say that her ghost is haunting this jail, and reports of many supernatural noises, smells, and sightings have occurred there. So maybe you don't want to visit this place. Something about this woman's story makes me think she's the type of ghost to want to possess you. But I have a very active imagination, so who knows. If I ever visit, I'ma go straight to a priest and get an exorcism afterwards. That's what I would do. And finally, in our number 1 spot, we have the Moundsville, West Virginia Penitentiary. Yes, of course, I have to have this one on the list. This place is one of the most known prisons of all time. The West Virginia Penitentiary is located, of course, in the state of Virginia, USA, and it is most known for its brutal punishments. It was active from 1876 to 1995, and during that time the prisoners experienced beatings so bad that some passed away from them. They also experienced electrocution, and yes, they also practiced hanging the prisoners for a very long time as well. The prison was also known for having many escapees and causing riots. The violence and the inhumane practices were inevitably what led to it being shut down. Many people believe the prison to be extremely haunted, so it is not advised to go and visit if you are fearful of seeing a ghost.
Starting off this countdown, we have Zone Rogue. Zone Rogue, sometimes called the Red Zone or Zone Rouge, is an area in northeastern France that got destroyed during World War I. After the war, the land was declared 100% damaged with devastating effects on the agriculture. It was said to be impossible to clean, and human life there was said to be impossible. So the French government prohibited anyone from going there. In fact, this area is littered with human and animal remains and millions of unexploded weapons. So it's literally dangerous to go there. All you need to do is be traveling there and you set off an explosive. That would not end well. In our 9th spot, we have Room 39. Room 39 is a top secret room located in North Korea. The whole location is heavily guarded. They don't want anyone getting into this room. In fact, it's said to be one of the most secret places in North Korea, a place that's already so secretive. It was created in the late 1970s. Room 39 is the meeting place for a top secret North Korean party organization. They apparently get up to a number of illegal activities in that room, like counterfeiting, selling and producing drugs, and selling weapons. Apparently, they bring in $500 million to $1 billion per year through these illegal activities. So yeah, no wonder they don't want outsiders inside of this room. Should anyone try to get in? Well, I'm sure you can imagine what would happen. In our 8th spot today, we have Vale do Javari. Located in Brazil in the Amazon, this area is one of the largest indigenous territories in the world. It's home to a number of indigenous tribes. There are said to be 2,000 individuals belonging to at least 14 tribes living there. In fact, they remained uncontacted with until several years ago. But the Brazilian government has banned anyone from going there. It's illegal if you do so. This is because they want to protect the people living there. Any contact with the outside world could be dangerous to these individuals. We could transmit diseases and wipe them out. So in an effort to protect the tribes, it's illegal to visit the area. In our 7th spot, we have the Korean Demilitarized Zone. This is the area that marks the separation between South and North Korea. The only people that reside there are high-ranking officials. It's illegal for anyone else to visit the site. In fact, it's one of the most militarized zones in the world, so why would anyone even want to go there? In fact, they have enough weapons to bombard Seoul with over 10,000 rounds every minute. Now, the North Korean side primarily serves to stop an invasion of North Korea from the south. Up until 1972, over 7,000 Korean soldiers infiltrated North Korea. More than half of them lost their lives. In our 6th spot today, we have Metro 2. Located in Moscow, Russia, there is a secret underground metro system operated by the Russian Ministry of Defense. It's said that this system connects the Moscow Kremlin with the Federal Security Service headquarters. The only problem is, no one knows where it is. That's how secret it is. People know it exists, but they haven't been able to find where it is or how to get in. Either way, you're banned from doing so anyways. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Varosha, Cyprus. Once upon a time in the early 70s, Varosha was a popular tourist attraction. In fact, it was one of the most popular ones in the world. That was until 1974 when Turkey invaded. As a result, all the residents had to flee or else they were killed. They were forcibly removed from their homes and were never allowed to come back. The Turkish military then took control of the whole area, and no one is allowed to enter. In fact, the whole area is now fenced off and under constant supervision. Not only that, but the army patrols have orders to shoot on sight. So people don't even want to take a chance by going even remotely close to there. In our 4th spot, we have Pine Gap. Located deep in the Australian outback is Pine Gap, a top secret military base. In fact, this base has been named Australia's Area 51. That's how mysterious it is there. This base is operated by the Australian government and by the CIA and the NSA. In 2013, it was revealed that the NSA uses this facility to collect internet and telephone records, when originally it was said that this place was just a space research center. Clearly, that was just one big lie. So this place is just a big place for intelligence activities and military operations. What's scary is that it's rumored that this base is home to one of the most terrifying surveillance systems out there, the Echelon. This is the code name given to a very secretive and intense surveillance program. So yeah, anyone caught trespassing, you're in huge trouble. In our third spot, we have Morgan Island. This is another island completely off limits, and that's because it's filled with monkeys. Now you might be thinking, oh, I love monkeys, they're so cute. No, okay? These monkeys are said to be infected by the herpes B virus, but it wasn't always like this. What happened was that the monkeys were originally from Puerto Rico, but then there was a viral outbreak among locals because the monkeys became overpopulated. So they tried to fix this problem by moving the monkeys to Morgan Island. In 1979, over 1,400 animals were relocated to Morgan Island. As a result, the island is off limits for your safety and the safety of the monkeys. Coming in at number 2, we have Mount Weather, aka one of America's best kept secrets. No, I didn't just make that up, that's actually what it's called. This is a secret facility located in Virginia. In fact, for years people were wondering if Mount Weather was actually real. It was just kind of rumored to be a thing. But alas, it is real. Mount Weather is an emergency operations center. They have an underground bunker there, so in case of emergency, they can keep all the government officials there in that bunker. They even have their own police department, fire department, and laws for this place. So we all know if there's an apocalypse, that's where the government will be hiding out. And of course, it's surrounded by armed guards, fences, and razor wires. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Russia's nuclear missile facility. In the Ural Mountains in Russia, there's a top secret town that no one is allowed to visit. This is because this is the place that Russia does their nuclear missile testing. As a result, no one is allowed to go in or even near the vicinity. Again, why would you even want to go anyways? That place is probably incredibly radioactive. It's also believed that around the area, the Russians have a secret bunker complex for the government and or the Russian armed forces.
Kicking off the list at number 10, WikiLeaks. Companies have to be somewhere, right? We're a film studio in Toronto. We go to work, we clock in, we clock out. This is a physical place that we go to. But where do places like WikiLeaks live? You know, where are those odd safe houses, really? Well, apparently in Stockholm, buried around 100 feet below street level is an old nuclear bunker. Today, it's a facility owned by Swedish internet provider Bahnhof. This is where they keep servers for WikiLeaks, which is pretty hilarious. Julian Assange, frontrunner of this whole operation, his hard drive is in this bunker behind a 2-foot steel door accompanied by numerous backup generators. This guy will never get bored. If Netflix ever goes down, he's good. He's got like 2 weeks of movies. Number 9, King Tut's artifacts. The new Grand Egyptian Museum opened up in 2021, and while that's quite recent, the contents displayed inside certainly are not. For the first time in history, King Tut's ancient belongings, the artifacts discovered with him initially, will all be on display. Yeah, this is huge. Prior to this museum being open, we only saw around 150 artifacts from his tomb in entirety. They took all these pieces on tour, but now this museum will house thousands of artifacts. It's the final resting place for King Tut's collection. That's over 7,000 square meters of just Egyptian history, all on display for you. It's pretty amazing. If you have a chance to visit the Grand Egyptian Museum, or if you saw this King Tut World Tour live, nice. I'm jealous. I'm really jealous. Number 8, North Sentinel Island. Heading over to India, this island is the home of the Sentinelese tribe, one of the most forbidden islands in the world. But why? Really, why? It's located in the Bay of Bengal. North Sentinel Island is about 1,200 kilometers away from India. And while most islands are shrinking or disappearing, this one actually grew back in 2004. Yeah, the island actually lifted up a couple of meters during an earthquake, so it's getting bigger, gained an extra kilometer, nice. The inhabitants on this island are among the few uncontacted tribes left in the world. They've apparently been there for 50,000 years. There's no sign of agriculture or even fire yet, but somehow this tribe has thrived for this long. If we try and get close, they will try and drive anybody away with deadly force. In fact, back in 2006, 2 fishermen lost their lives because they got too close to the island without knowing who was on it. We don't even know how many people are on this island to this day. We have zero clue. They aren't exactly these ruthless hunters per se, they're just protecting their land. Like they've done so for thousands of years. They're protecting this island from us, pretty much. And they'll continue to do so. Yeah, we're not getting close anytime soon. Number 7, LASCAUX Cave. If you didn't visit this cave back in, say, 1963 or sooner, You lost your chance, my friend. Forever. Yeah, officially closed. The LASCAUX cave system is now a World Heritage Site in France. These cave paintings are 17,300 years old. Paintings that depict cattle, bison, stags, you name it. They're beautiful, they're complex, and of course, they're extremely old. So old that the cave was closed to the public forever in 1963 after it declared human presence wasn't too healthy for its art. Yeah, our breathing would eventually cause this art to fade away. Plus, I'm sure somebody would have snuck in by now with a Sharpie had it remained open. 17,000-year-old paintings. Protect these for another 17,000. Please. Number 6, SURTSEY Island. When it comes to new things in life, it's pretty rare we get a new island. Yeah, how lucky are we? We're even luckier that Disney didn't build a resort here. Nice, because now scientists get to study what an island looks like without human interaction for a change. Yeah, oh, we're nervous now, eh? We're like, oh, what's gonna happen with it? Is it nice? Is the air better? SURTSEY Island on Iceland. As of right now, it's only open to a few scientists and geologists. Everybody else, beat it, pal, get lost. It was born from a volcanic eruption back in 1963, coincidence, at the same year that the caves closed. And scientists all have one rule on this island. No seeds, nothing. Choose something else, anything else, please. One guy accidentally pooped out a tomato seed and almost lost his job. The guy almost ruined the whole operation because he ate a tomato. What a stressful job. Better hold it, I guess, if you work there. Number 5, Niihau Island. Located in Hawaii, this beautiful island is also not a sandals resort. Yet. Nice, that's good stuff. What do you know? In fact, the population of this island is only a whopping 170. It's also referred to as the Forbidden Island, and it was bought back in 1864 by Elizabeth Sinclair, and it's been privately owned since, hence the small population. The thing is, in 1952, the polio epidemic hit the islands and a ban was put in place, so now you couldn't enter the island or leave. Yep, better pack your nicest flip-flops, buddy, you're staying. Nobody got sick, which is a good thing, but now if you want to enter the island or whatever, you have to gain special access, which is a lot harder than it may seem. Even if you're extremely rich, you can't just buy your way onto this island. There's something going on there. For now, we'll just, observe from a bush from afar. We'll just sit there with a telescope and have FOMO. Number 4, the Shanghai complex. Most of the details on this one are still unknown. How fun is that? Nice. We love a nice mystery here on Top 10. The Shanghai complex is a massive underground bunker, as you could have guessed. It's supposedly able to fit 200,000 civilians comfortably. Yeah, it's over 1 million square feet, and it was built in case a nuclear attack were to ever happen. Probably a great call. Probably some good stuff. This was a newspaper article back in 2006. Now imagine reading about this one morning while you're having your coffee, just all of a sudden an underground bunker. You're like, do we get tickets? How does this work? The Shanghai Morning Post touched on the new complex, saying it's got massive protective doors, everything you need, electricity, great ventilation. It can fully support life for 2 weeks. And yes, it's very secure. No one's getting in or out. Number 3, SVALBARD Vault. Over the pandemic, I spent a lot of time playing video games. And a lot of these games always have a similar theme, I realized. Always like a post-apocalyptic, a lot of survivors and vaults. I'm referring to Fallout. That was definitely my go-to game. It's stressful but engaging, and in real life we have a global seed vault, and it's deep in the Arctic Circle on the island Spitsbergen. It's this massive bunker that has since been deemed the Doomsday Vault. That's nice. That has a nice ring to it. Sounds calming. This is where humans will store food crops. Like all of them. It contains 100 million seeds, so if the Earth all of a sudden were to get wiped out by White Walkers or all the ice melts, something bad happens and we're all doomed, well, this vault will be good to go long term. All that water that has since, eliminated humanity, plenty of hydration for future crops. April showers, I guess? Number 2, Denver International Airport. Since its opening in 1995, Denver International has been the subject of many myths. Some are pretty bizarre. I had to include it on our list today. Lizard people, that's the talk of the town. Apparently, they like to build airports on their off time, when they're not, ruling the Illuminati. Yeah, so far it's believed the Freemasons built this airport, or the Illuminati, or lizards, the New World Order, something, someone, I don't know. It's haunting. The airport itself is massive. It covers around 52 square miles. There's gargoyles that are hanging out in your baggage claim, so yeah, the art displayed is odd, that I get. It does seem creepy for sure. But the airport has started to lean into it almost. They laugh at this stuff. They have a conspiracy month that began back in 2016, so they're like, yeah, screw it, whatever you're saying, sure. They even showed a screening of Close Encounters of the Third Kind at the airport. What? Imagine you're traveling and this happens. I'd be like, what? Where am I? What year did I land in? I would lean into it too, honestly. If I was hiding a secret bunker, the only thing I would do is lean into it. Kind of like number 1, Area 51. Of course we have to talk about it. What is it real? Are there aliens? They were on the news. Is this a real place? Remember that Area 51 raid when everybody was determined to find out the truth about aliens? That big raid, that massive raid with everybody? Okay, so it didn't work. I don't think we got in. We didn't raid Area 51, obviously. I mean, I don't know. A handful of gamers in tinfoil hats can't overthrow Area 51 military. Who'da thunk? Because it's one of the most forbidden places in the world to enter. That's why. It's common knowledge at this point, but why exactly did people get arrested in tinfoil hats? What were they hiding? What did they want to break into? We don't know, but we're trying weirdly? I don't know. Reddit wants to find out. Would you ever break into Area 51 if you had the opportunity? Sound off below. That's how I'm gonna leave this video.